This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Jamie Glazov Gang. I'm Brigitte Gabriel, and I'm honored to do that Brigitte Gabriel moment. And I want to start by thanking you for taking the next 10 minutes out of your very busy schedule to hear me speak about an issue that is very important to us. And it's an issue that all of America and the world are talking about right now, and that is the radical Islamic threat to world peace and our national security. And if you are like me, you are getting to the point where we watch television and we want to scream at the TV. Actually, we do scream at the TV. You know, we have a joke in my home. We have a running commentary. As I'm listening to the television and I'm making coffee or cooking dinner, all you hear me say, idiots! And my kids laugh and my love looks at me and he says, honey, it's only television. But we're getting to the point where the world is turned upside down. And when we hear our wuss of a president twist himself in a pretzel, trying to avoid speaking about the elephant in the room, and that is radical Islam, it is mind-boggling. I have smoke coming out of my ears when I hear the nonsense he's talking about. But we got to the point where a lot of Americans at least have gotten to the point where they can understand we have a problem with the ideology. It is the ideology that is driving them. So finally, a lot of Americans now have gotten to the point where they can say, okay, fine, Islam is a peaceful religion, blah, 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 blah. But the ideology is different, and the ideology is what is driving them. So I thought today I'm going to share with you what exactly this ideology that everybody is talking about. You see, Prophet Muhammad got his revelation from the angel Gabriel in the early 600s that he is to be the last of the prophets. So he started preaching in his own city of Mecca, trying to convert his friends and his people in the city. And he tried and he tried and he tried for 12 years and failed. People thought he was a lunatic. They did not want to believe him. They did not want to have anything to do with him. So he was only able to recruit his immediate family and friends. So he decided, if I just go to Medina, which was the business Jewish hub of Arabia at the time, and preach to them, they maybe will accept me. And if they do, that will give me credibility and stature in the eyes of my own people. So in order to do that, Muhammad decided to borrow a lot from the Old Testament and incorporate it into his religion. And this is why we see a lot of nice words like the people of the books in the old in Islam, etc., in the early versions of Islam. So Muhammad thought, if I borrow a lot from the Old Testament, it will make my religion more palpable to the Jews. For example, Jews don't eat pigs, Muslims don't eat pigs. Jews pray a few times a day, Muslims pray a few times a day. Jews fast on Yom Kippur, Muslims fast on Ramadan. So Muhammad packaged his religion and he went to Medina and started preaching. And he tried to preach to the Jews. And finally the Jews said to him, no, thank you very much. We accept you as a guest in our city. You are the prophet. Okay, fine. But we like our own religion and we're not changing. And that's when Muhammad turned from a spiritual leader into a military warrior. That's when Islam changed from being a spiritual movement for 12 years into becoming a military political movement cloaked in religion. Muhammad started expelling the Jews. He started killing them. Jews and Christians became dhimmi, or second class status under Islam. Jews and Christians were not allowed to pray publicly. They were not allowed to build churches. The Christians were not allowed to ring the church bells. Jews were not allowed to build temples. They were not allowed to blow the shofar. Jews and Christians were given identifiable clothing. For example, the yellow star, which was given to the Jews. The yellow star, which a lot of people think is a German invention, was actually an Islamic invention in the 9th century in Iraq by the second Khalif of Iraq, Khalif al-Mutawakkil, who came up with the yellow star for the Jews to identify them as they walk down the street. For the Christians, he came out with the zunar, the belt, that many of you men are watching me right now wearing a belt. That belt is the Islamic invention for the Christians, because Jews and Christians were considered second class. Jews in particular were considered najis or filth under Islam. So Islam continued to spread out of Arabia. They went all the way into Jerusalem. They conquered Jerusalem. And that's when the Pope in Rome in 1090 told the Christians of Europe, you need to go save the Christians in the Middle East. You need to go save the Christians in the Holy Land. And that's why the Crusaders were launched. The Crusaders were not launched because they wanted to go evangelize the world into Christianity. The Crusaders were launched to liberate Jerusalem. And they were able to liberate Jerusalem for less than 100 years before Saladin took the city back. And Jerusalem remained under Islamic control until the year 1967, when the State of Israel liberated Jerusalem and Christians, Jews, and Muslims were able to worship under the same sky. Islam continued to expand. They went all the way to Spain. They conquered Spain. They went all the way to Central Europe. They went to Africa. They went to China. They went to India. And at one point, Islam covered more of the earth's surface than the Roman Empire did at its peak. By the 1600s, between the 1600s and the 1800s, the European armies, the Europeans were experiencing the Industrial Revolution. That's when the Europeans were able to develop product and sell it on the market so fast that they were able to bring in a lot of money so fast. And that gave them the ability to build an army and basically build a military, and were able to stop the Islamists at the gates of Vienna on 9/11. And that's exactly why that date is very important in the Islamic calendar. Osama bin Laden did not choose 9/11 as a date out of the thin blue air. Osama bin Laden chose it because it was a symbolic date. The Europeans stopped them at the gates of Vienna, and they started pushing the Muslims out. As they pushed the Muslims out, they drove them all the way out of Europe. They drove them all the way into the North Africa and the Middle East. And as the Islamist empire or the Islamic State shrunk, the money pipe where the Christians and the Jews were paying the jizya or the protection tax started shrinking as well. The Islamic Empire finally ended in 1924 in Turkey by President Ataturk. By the time the Islamic State or the Islamic Caliphate ended in Turkey in 1924, the Islamic Caliphate had ruled for 1400 years, and it was responsible for the killing of 270 million people worldwide. And remember, at that time, there was no weapon of mass destruction. They were killing people with shovenites and biles and swords. And this is when the Islamic Empire ended. Most people do not know this history. So a group of people 5 years later in Egypt got together and they said, how can Christendom win over Islam? Islam is superior to all other religions. Muslims are superior to all other people. We need to resurrect the caliphate. But a lot of people thought the caliphate will never be resurrected. Islam is over. A lot of scholars in the 30s and 40s. But two things happened that helped the Islamists resurrect the caliphate. The number thing was the founding of oil in the Middle East. That gave the Islamists the money, the Wahhabis, to spread their radical ideology worldwide. And the second thing that happened was Ayatollah Khomeini coming to power in Iran in 1979. That gave them the spiritual covering. So now they have the money and the spiritual covering, and they exploded on the world stage in 1980. And today, they already established or re-established the Islamic Caliphate. And that's what we are dealing with. We're not dealing with some new phenomena. We are dealing with something that they are going after. They already established to make Islam supreme all throughout the world. And this is why we need to understand what we are fighting, what's at stake, and why we must win this war. And I encourage everybody listening to this interview to please go to our website, actforamerica.org, and join us. We are the largest national security grassroots movement in the United States, with 300,000 members and 1,000 chapters nationwide. We want you to join us. We are the NRA of national security, and your voice counts. Join a chapter in your community or start a chapter if there's no chapter near you. And I appeal to you to subscribe to the Jamie Glazov Gang on YouTube. Please go right now to the JamieGlazovGang.com and subscribe to their YouTube channel and support them in every way you can. It is because of shows like this that you are able to hear voices like mine and many other voices like mine speaking. Thank you for giving me your time tonight, and I look forward to seeing you around this beautiful country. Good night.